Hi friends, and welcome to this week's video. I hope you had a great week and that you are ready for some really pretty art. So I wanted to actually get back to some acrylic painting and start working on those small wood pieces that I still had. So because in the past I've been doing things that are pretty dark and monochromatic, I wanted to do something more colorful this week. Which is why I decided that for the theme of these wood slices I would go with beetles. First of all, let me tell you, I absolutely adore insects. I think they're gorgeous, but I am incredibly afraid of them even when I am quite well aware that they are harmless. It's one of my few phobias, but there's nothing to do about it. Now, before I get to talking about each beetle that I painted, I wanted to share with you a few beetle facts because I think they are really underrated and not many people know anything about them. Beetles come in all shapes and sizes and colors, and I'm sure someone seeing a big-ass stag beetle would be startled by their look and maybe think that they will bite you and be venomous. But guess what? They're not really venomous. They are pretty safe to be around, and for the most of it, they will not bite unless provoked. They are really peaceful creatures which don't do harm to anything. They don't even damage living plants or trees. All they do is eat the larvae that feed on dead wood. They are really good creatures to have around, especially in your crops. Now, as I said, if provoked, they do bite, sure. But know that there are only a few types of beetles that can bite humans, because not all of them have proper chewing mouth parts. Now, when this happens, as I said, it's usually because they've been provoked in some way by unintentionally touching them or the plant that they're on. And while their bites can be pretty painful, they are not gonna do any permanent damage to you. Now let me tell you a few things about which are the species that may bite you. So there are blister beetles, which feed on crops and gardens, so of course it is possible to get in contact with them. And they are also attracted to light, so yeah, that may increase the risk of your encounter. And when the bite happens, the beetle releases a chemical substance that can cause the skin to blister. The blister usually heals within a few days and causes no permanent damage. There are then stag beetles, which are usually black to dark brown, but can also be incredibly beautifully colored, and they have large mandibles. The male does not have enough strength in his jaws to bite, but the female does. And a bite from the female can be really painful, but normally doesn't require any medical treatment. And the last ones, the longhorned beetles, which have this name because of their unusually long antenna, feed on firewood and timber with a high moisture content. And some species also feed on leaves, nectar, and pollen. Now, a bite from this type of beetle may cause considerable pain that could last up to a day or two, so maybe just don't bother them. Now, there are a few actually venomous types of beetles, but they are very rare and in types of forest that most of us will never get to reach, so there's no need to worry about them. So you may think that these super big and scary looking insects would actually live a long life, but in fact they have quite a short lifespan, some of them being able to live only 10 to 14 days. There are of course species which get to live longer, maybe up to 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 years, but not many of them can live that long. So let me tell you something about the beetles that I've actually chosen to paint. The first one is what you might know as a ladybug or ladybird. The thing is that it's actually part of the beetle family, so one of the cutest insects in the world is actually part of the big scary beetle family. Absolutely adorable. And this is actually one of the best insects to have around in your crops because it feeds on pests and cleans your plants. Now, this is actually the beetle that has the longest life expectancy, being able to live from 2 up to 3 years. So, as I said, most ladybugs voraciously consume plant-eating insects such as aphids, and in doing so they help to protect crops. They lay hundreds of eggs in the colonies of aphids and other plant-eating pests, and when they hatch, the ladybug larvae immediately begin to feed. Their distinctive spots and attractive colors are meant to make them unappealing to predators. They can secrete a fluid from the joints in their legs, which gives them a foul taste. They are not poisonous to humans, but they can be to small animals, so make sure your pets don't get to eat ladybugs. I'm sure at some point in your life you tried to pick up a ladybug and then you suddenly saw that it wasn't moving anymore. That's because they can both play dead and also secrete the unappetizing substance to protect itself. So don't lick your fingers after picking up a ladybug. The next beetle that I used as a reference for this painting is a dung beetle. Yeah, it's a gross one, but once again a pretty useful one. So what are dung beetles? Well, they use the dung of warm-blooded herbivores for pretty much everything. Oh god, this is so gross actually. They are attracted to fresh dung by its smell, and adults feed on the soupy residue it leaves. Ew. And for breeding, the beetles roll a perfectly round ball of dung and take it to their nesting place, which they make underground, and they lay their eggs on that ball of dung. So when the larvae hatch, they can directly feed on the dung. These dung beetles belong to the order of Coleoptera. The name of the order derives from the Greek word koleos, which means sheath wings. Now, all the insects that belong to this order have 4 wings that are hardened into sheaths called elytra. Now, this protects the softer hind wings and the abdomen and gives them an advantage to survive in various habitats that would otherwise break their delicate wings. And this sheath that protects their wings is what we see on the outside and which has that beautiful, in this case, duochrome blue to purple to green color. Here's a fun fact. Usually it is known that the ant is one of the strongest insects of the world, which can lift up to 10 or 15 times its body weight. But the dung beetle is even more amazing and even stronger because it can pull more than 1,000 times its body weight. That's insane! These beetles were also highly appreciated by ancient Egyptians, and they were represented in amulets and worn as charms or became emblems sacred to Khepri, a major god which was associated with the dung beetle itself. And the dung beetle coming out of the soil in autumn represented rebirth and the pushing of the perfect ball of dung across the ground, representing the pushing of the sun across the sky. Quite beautiful, if you don't take into account the poop. Even one more fact that makes these beetles more amazing than they already are. A study found out that dung beetles can use the night sky, and specifically the Milky Way, to navigate and orient themselves. It was already known that beetles and other insects and birds use the symmetrical pattern of the polarized light that appears around the sun. These patterns are visible to the insects because they have special photoreceptor in their eyes, but, well, not to us. And for nighttime navigation, it was assumed that they use the faint light of the moon. But these dung beetles rolled the ball in a straight line, even on moonless nights. So the study was conducted by placing a table with dung beetles on it in the Johannesburg Planetarium. The results show that the beetles could orient themselves under a fully starlit sky, as well as when only the Milky Way was present. And this is really cute, get ready. So when the scientists put little cardboard heads on the study beetles' head, thereby blocking their view of the sky. The beetles just rolled around aimlessly. Now let's please stop a moment and think about the tiny cardboard heads placed on the beetles. There were scientists who were paid to make cardboard heads for beetles. Best thing ever. Now, moving to the last type of beetle that I drew, I have to say I'm not sure what it is. I found the exact same image, always without any kind of information about the beetle. I do believe that is part of the leaf beetle family. The most similar beetle I found in appearance to the one that I painted is the rainbow leaf beetle, which is almost as colorful and has a similar pattern to the one I painted, but is not identical. And that one, while it has the same shape and a bit of a different color, it's still in the same family that I mentioned earlier, so it's a leaf beetle, which is why I'm pretty sure it's a leaf beetle. Now, leaf beetles are really nice, and there are approximately 35,000 species of them. They are oval-shaped and short-legged, with really long antennae, which are about the half of their body length, and they tend to be pretty small. Well, now these ones can sometimes become a pest because the adults eat leaves and flowers and some other plant parts. And although some eat a variety of plants, many species are limited to one type, and usually the common names of the species usually gives clues to the food plants. And although some species are crop and garden pests, sometimes causing some serious economic damage, keep in mind that not all plants are beloved by people. And there are leaf beetles which limit their population as well. And one species was actually introduced to America to hinder an introduced St. John's wort that sickened cattle. So they can be pretty helpful. There are so many species and so many fun facts about beetles, but this is pretty much all I'm able to share with you in this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. I had so much fun painting these colorful little creatures. And definitely stay tuned because I will be painting more insects, and I think for the remaining wood slices I will paint moths. And before I let you enjoy the beautiful shots of the paintings, please make sure that if you're not subscribed, to subscribe to my channel. If you liked what you saw today, leave a like, leave a comment. Thank you for being here, and of course, until next week, stay spooky.